Good. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce Stephanie Kreun.
Hi there.
How are you?
How's it going? Really good. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent.
Good.
It's nice to have you again. Stephanie was with
Thanks.
us before,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited
Good to
that.
be here with your amazing community.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Tonight we are. Stephanie actually is talking about our gut microbiome, and I'm very excited about it. Um, it's something I'm very passionate about, and I think you are in for something really fantastic tonight. Stephanie, I give the word to you,
Awesome.
and maybe you
Good.
want to talk about yourself a little bit, how where you started, how you
Yeah.
came about your career. And
Yeah, that's a good question. It's funny how you look back on life and you're like, how did I get here? But then you get to see all the handiwork of your journey. So great to see all of you. I'm Stephanie Kreun, like Chef Frank said, and I am a holistic functional nutritionist. But prior to that, I actually spent 15 years as a digestive disease pharmaceutical rep. So who knew? I was on that side. I was selling the drugs, and it was through healing my own family. My degree's in nutrition, but I really kind of left that, right? And I just went with where I felt like led and where I found myself positioned. But it wasn't until really diving in and helping to heal my own children that I really went back to nutrition. I really went back to food, because you guys all know the power of food, and it's foundational in our healing, and it's how we get our nutrients and our vitamins and our antioxidants. It comes from food. So we either get it or we don't. And what I didn't realize when my kids were very young is that I was literally feeding them like poison. So what one person might thrive in, another doesn't. And through healing my kids, I was just able to become super passionate about being out in the world and helping others do the same. I'm blessed enough to know a lot about the digestive system because that's what I worked in. I worked in a conventional side, but I would go into the GI lab as a preceptorships and watched. I was able to see the insides of what we're looking at. But then I love the fact that I'm able to take nutrition and really come in and help heal that microbiome. I fully believe that we are what we absorb. There's a lot of times that you could be eating healthy food and we're just not absorbing the nutrients from it. And so what I've really started to focus on is gut health. That's my passion. Through that, I also work a lot with ADHD and autistic individuals. I really have focused on that as well because my life, I'm a parent of a special needs child. And so I know the power of nutrients and healing. And that's really where I focus my practice. I've worked alongside of naturopathic doctors, functional doctors, conventional doctors, and then now I'm out on my own, building my own practice. And I see people virtually from all over.
wonderful, wonderful.
It's
I,
good.
I already have a few questions for you, and I'm sure that our audience has questions later too. So first, Stephanie will hold a presentation about our
Yep.
microbiome, and then once Stephanie is done, you will take questions, right?
I would love it. Yeah, I really would love it.
Wonderful.
So I just did a presentation a couple of weeks ago for a wellness community, actually fitness individuals. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and we brought together a lot of individuals. And my topic specifically was on gut microbiome because I love it. But it really is so it's so popular, if you will, in the nutrition and wellness industry, and there's a reason for it. And I'm so grateful that people's eyes are being open to it, that if we don't get in and heal what's residing in our digestive system, then it can lead to systemic inflammation all over the place, right? And so autoimmune disease, 80% of our immune system is housed in our digestive system. So the food is powerful, and we need to make sure that our immune system is functioning at its highest capability. And if not, then lots of different disease processes, chronic conditions are going to present themselves. So can I share my screen, or is it already sharing?
Absolutely, I will share it.
Don't know StreamYard. Awesome. Yeah. So this is my gut microbiome workshop. I'm not going to go through every slide because my presentation that I did for this group was 2 hours and I will spare all of you. But I do want to educate you on what the gut microbiome is. These are my kids. My youngest is the one that's on the spectrum. My other two, though, through healing them is really how I got passionate about nutrition. So what is the microbiome? It really is organisms, and we're covered in them, but we actually have more bacteria, viruses, fungi, and organisms living in our digestive system than any other part of our body. So there's roughly 40 trillion bacterial cells in the body and 30 trillion human cells. So we're actually more bacteria than we are human. So it's really important that we actually are living healthy amongst bacteria. And it plays a big role in our immune system functioning properly, and we need to nurture it. And so I talk a lot about the imbalance of unhealthy and healthy microbes, because we have to stay in balance. That's called, when we're not in balance, it's called dysbiosis. And dysbiosis can lead to a lot of different chronic conditions, but first and foremost, it can lead to weight gain, elevated blood sugars, elevated cholesterol, and hormone dysregulation. Well, when we don't pay attention to it, that's when it can lead to something called leaky gut, which I'll tell you a little bit about. So we're covered in microbes, even the whole outside of our skin covered in microbes. And there's 200 times more genes in the microbiome system itself, and 90% come from the microbes that are in our gut. So it's really important that we have diversity, and diversity comes from our food. So the microbiome, it's responsible for regulation of the immune system, metabolism, balancing hormones, brain health. That's why I get so passionate about my ADHD and autistic individuals, because I need to look at their gut, because there is a gut-brain axis. And what the most recent research I read was even 20 minutes within sustaining a traumatic brain injury, leaky gut. It's that quickly because the gut-brain axis. So it regulates hormones and it regulates the expression of our genes, which is really important for you to know, because you can't change your genes, right? Your genes, it's your DNA. It's your unique footprint. It's who you are. It's your genes. But we know that they can be influenced. 90% of our genes can have a different expression. So it's like a light switch. Is it turned on or is it turned off, or is it on a dimmer and it's coming down? So we all have the uniqueness, and we need to understand that we're not all made the same. And so we might have different diets that we even feel more connected to, and our body feels better in them. And that's really because of your unique microbiome. So what leads to this chronic disease? It's really a lack of diversity that I was just saying. Like, diversity is foundational, and diversity comes from eating multiple different types of foods. A lack of diversity is a lack of our keystone strains. So one of the things that I like to do in my practice, especially if somebody's presenting with a lot of gut issues, is actually test them. I can actually test the microbiome. And so I like to look and see what kind of keystone strains are not there. So I put an example here, Akkermansia. It's a keystone strain. That strain is important for cardiovascular health and metabolic health. And so when we run this test, we can actually look at it and go, okay, do you not have enough of that keystone strain? And if not, then we get to work on building that back up. So when we don't have that balance, it can lead to the leaky gut, and the leaky gut actually has levels of severity. And that leaky gut all comes from the dysbiosis and not being regulated. Repeat of what I just said. So let's talk about what leaky gut is. It's really the impermeability of the intestinal lining is the breakdown of that, really. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. You're welcome to read it if you like, but it really can happen from our standard American diet, stress, toxins, what kind of environment do we live in? What kind of air are we breathing? Is it clean quality air? Are we using a lot of products that have chemicals? All of that has an effect on our actual microbiome. And so what this can do is it can actually harm the intestinal membrane. And when that happens, now we have toxins and food particles coming outside of where they're supposed to be. And our immune system, being super awesome, says, oh, wait, I'm being invaded, I'm going to start firing off some antibodies. And then over time, what that leads to is we can have food sensitivities. And if we don't pay attention to those things, then we can also lead to autoimmune disease. And it can lead to diabetes, and you name it, you guys. We're talking about that being most likely because the permeability of the mucosal lining is damaged. And so we got to go in there. We need to do some work. So causes of leaky gut: toxins, infections, chronic inflammation, stress, adrenal fatigue. How many of us have experienced that? Our cortisol levels are off. We live in fight or flight. We don't get to hit that parasympathetic nervous system quite enough. Food sensitivities, antibiotics, excessive drinking of alcohol, consumption of the wrong foods, a compromised immune system, using pharmaceuticals over time, doubling up the doses of that NSAID usage. So I'm going to take more Advil, I'm going to take more Advil. And we know that that actually damages the mucosal lining as well. So when this comes dysbiotic and when this imbalance occurs, you have digestive issues that will come up. It'll start with maybe some bloating, diarrhea, some pain, stomach cramps. I see a lot of skin issues because the skin is really an outward expression of what's happening inside the digestive system. But then you get the systemic inflammation, and that's going to show up like eczema, migraines. Now it's affecting that weak link, the brain, thyroid conditions, chronic fatigue. Syndrome X, which is really metabolic disorders. That's going to be elevated cholesterol, elevated triglycerides, any kind of metabolic issues that are coming up on your blood test. It really all goes back to what's happening inside of the microbiome. Pretty amazing. So dysbiosis, just that imbalance, creates an opportunity. And what it creates an opportunity for are pathogens, parasites, and viruses to live. And that really comes because there's not a diversity of bacteria. Because typically, you guys, we come in contact with pathogens and viruses all the time, and parasites. It's just our body not getting rid of them and them residing inside, and they reside in our gut because they have an opportunity to do that. So some examples will be H. pylori. I see a lot of H. pylori causing heartburn. It's a big reason for heartburn, indigestion. Yeast, I see a lot of yeast on a lot of the tests that I run too. And we all have yeast, but we need to have a healthy balance of yeast. And when there's not a diverse microbiome, that yeast is like, yes, I'm going to have a party in here. And what yeast loves is sugar. So a lot of times when people are craving and craving and craving sugar, I'm like, I just can't stop. I just can't get enough of it. Then I'm going to look at yeast as being a culprit for that, because it's like a little monster and it just makes you crave and crave and crave. Some of it not being really our control. So there's no fault in that. We just need to figure out what it is and then come in with a plan to help the body to heal. And so really I've adopted the mindset of testing, not guessing. And so you really want to get in there and look and see what's going on, especially if you have chronic digestive issues. That's not normal. It's not normal. The other thing I say to my clients is, and I openly talk about stool and bowel movements. It's important that you're having those every day. It's not normal to go 2 days without a bowel movement. It's not normal to not have it be formed. Those are things that I want everyone to be looking at, because that right there is going to tell you what's happening inside of you. That is your body's communication, right? You can look at it and go, okay, something's not normal here. And it's important that you can address it. So a lot of times by just switching over to plant-based and switching over to getting all of the fiber-rich foods, a lot of the things that we're dealing with can actually be eradicated and taken care of, and we get that balance back in place. That's why I love what Chef Frank is doing, right? Because what he's educating you on and what you're creating in your kitchen and putting in your body is having a direct effect on how your body's functioning. And so we can either cause disease or we can help stop it and stop the progression up, right? And we really do have the power to do that. So I'm going to talk to you about the blood-brain barrier that I mentioned, because if the gut is leaky, the brain is leaky. They're like best friends, the gut and the brain, they're best friends. And same goes true the other way too. If the brain is leaky, like I had if you have a traumatic brain injury, that's going to also affect a gut microbiome. So there's inflammatory signals, they reach the brain when there's inflammation in the digestive system. And it really alters the way the brain works, which is pretty phenomenal to think that that's where we're going to look. And so there's 3 systems that connect the brain and the gut. There's the neurological system, the immunological system, and the vagus nerve. I don't know, Chef, if you guys talk vagus nerve or not, but this has become really hot for me because it is the biggest nerve in the body, and it connects to the digestive system and it communicates. So we need to be doing things on a daily basis to stimulate our vagus nerve. Some of those things are going to be humming. That's easy. This is free stuff that you guys can do every day. But you need to get that vibration going, and that then itself stimulates the vagus nerve. Deep belly breathing will stimulate the vagus nerve to start working. So I have my clients multiple times a day. They all have alarms that go off on their phone that tell them to take those deep belly breaths, like blowing up a balloon or circle breathing. So I make sure they're taking those deep breaths, and there's a reason for it. It's not just so that you can relax and your blood pressure comes down. Like, that's all amazing, but I'm really doing that because I want their vagus nerve to be stimulated. So the gut is the biggest supporter or the most toxic contributor to the brain. So brain fog, cognition levels not being where they used to be, anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of those, because 30 neurotransmitters are made in your digestive system. It's really powerful to know. Serotonin is literally like your happy juice. It's like drinking serotonin when it's at the right level. It's like you're just drinking happiness and joy all day long. You get good sleep at night. You can feel goodness in your life. When serotonin is not at the right level, you feel down, you feel depressed, you can have anxiety, you can have heart palpitations, you're not sleeping well at night. So again, instead of, the conventional world wants to say, well, I'm going to write you a script for Lexapro. And I'm not here to say that pharmaceuticals is the wrong way to go, because they serve a purpose and gosh, do they save lives. But when it's something chronic like this, I want to look at that gut microbiome and say, why is that neurotransmitter not being produced on its own? And could there be an amino acid deficiency even in there too? So getting into the gut makes an influence on that brain. So your message is that it's never too late to heal. A healing opportunity is always right in front of you. And microbes are resilient. And they will come back when you give them the right environment. But the right environment is done by you and the choices that you're making on a daily basis of what you're putting in your body. So here's my advice to you. We'll close it up and leave it here. Stop the toxic foods. Go organic. Increase the dietary fiber. So our ancestors used to eat 40 to 50 grams of fiber a day. The average American, I know it's not all of you because you're following a different diet, but the average American is getting about 15 grams of fiber a day. That's horrible. Okay, so I at least move my people to 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. Eat the roots, eat the tubers, eat the heck out of cruciferous. It helps with phase 2 detoxification of the liver. Eat raw nuts, eat raw seeds, soluble and insoluble fibers, diversity. Okay, diversity. Eat them raw, eat them cooked, eat them lightly blanched, like in all ways that you can do preparation is so beneficial for you to get the variety in there, for the variety of fibers. Increase omega-3 fats. So when you're plant-based, you all know how to do that. Increase those chia seeds, increase hemp seeds. When you increase, those are fiber-rich foods, right? And we want to get the omega-3 fats in there. Those fats are going to help to heal that intestinal lining, okay? The research is showing that you actually, if you choose to do this, I know it doesn't speak to everybody, but at least a 12-hour period of not eating helps your body to rest and digest. The most recent research is really saying that 14 to 16-hour period, if you can do that. But it depends on where people are at in their state of being. But it does, the research is showing that it does help increase the diversity of the microbiome and decreases inflammation. So it increases that parasympathetic state. So it takes you out of that fight or flight and puts you more in that rest and digest. Good quality probiotics, you can get that through your food. Eat fermented foods, eat the sauerkraut, bring fermentation in. And then prebiotics, which is going to prebiotic foods, asparagus, onions. It's going to help to grow that beneficial bacteria. And then the other piece of this is just mindfulness about where you are and what you're doing. Get out in nature, hike on a trail. That's your microbiome prescription today. The reason why is because when you're even outside and you're hiking and you're in that dirt's coming up on you, those are microbes that are coming on your skin, and you get to absorb that. So that's good. That's goodness out in nature, right? I highly recommend avoiding tap water. Make sure you have a great filtration system. Reduce your stress as much as you can. You guys, we live in a very incredibly more stressed environment than since I can ever remember. But it's how we respond to that. So what are we doing to take care of ourselves? What kind of mindfulness activities are you doing? I prescribe meditation for all of my clients. It's mandatory. It's non-negotiable. And it doesn't take a lot. There's really great free apps out there, Onsite Timer, Insight Timer. Calm you do have to pay for, but they will let you try it out for a couple of weeks. But Insight has 90,000 meditations on there for free. So there's things like that you can use that, again, helps shift us out of that fight or flight. It gives us an opportunity to get into rest. And we need to do that frequently throughout the day. And then what I love is those deep breathing exercises. So really taking those deep breaths in, holding your breath, and then letting it out and really exhaling. Get movement in, let your body move, let it stretch. There's not mandatory movement. It's what brings you joy. It's what you can move with out in your environment and feel connected to it. That's all it's about. So those are my recommendations on how you start. A lot of what you're doing right now, if you're following Chef Frank's plan, you're doing it. You're getting so many great fibers in your body through your diet. So when it comes to healing, it's the 5 R's. Remove what is not good. Okay. Repair the gut, depending on where you're at. I love marshmallow root. I love aloe vera, and clean aloe vera juice. L-glutamine can be great. Maybe you need some digestive enzymes just to help you out a little bit. Apple cider vinegar. Start making some dressings, salad dressings with apple cider vinegar. Utilize apple cider vinegar throughout the day in your foods, so that you're getting some of those good probiotics in there, and it's going to help with the hydrochloric acid of your digestive system. Repopulate with probiotics if you're there and you need to, and then restore your system, which is stress management, your mind, and your spirit in your body. A lot of times people ask me what my favorite supplements are. I just threw some on here, just so that, antimicrobials will be oil of oregano. Use the oregano, use fresh basil, use fresh garlic, those are foods that help to heal you. It can be L-glutamine, possibly, if there is some leaky gut. I do like to use that. So just some things I threw out here, but bitters. Let me just spend a moment on bitters. So bitters are fantastic for us to bring in on a daily basis. And I say rotate these. So that's going to be your dark leafy, dandelion root tea, chamomile tea, orange zest, anything that has bitterness to it. Just rotate that through your diet, but make sure you're getting something every single day, because it is incredibly helpful too in healing and restoring. And that's it. That's what I have for you today. So that's very much a bird's eye view of the microbiome. And really my message to all of you is just the power that food has in helping to instill a good microbiome. And it can help to heal so much that you have happening and going on.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. That was such a great presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. And you know what? I'm so happy that, and I'm sure some of my members have realized this in our coaching group. We have all these things implemented. We have meditation.
Yeah.
We call it a morning routine, where we journal, where we meditate, where we bring in our goal into the meditation, and we journal in the night again, just to make sure that we take note of our wins.
Yes.
And so fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, that's so good that you're teaching that, and that's something that they're already bringing in to their day. Sometimes I can find that, you know, it's about creating that habit and making that progress, which then you get, you know, 6-8 weeks, and you look back and you're like, whoa, look at all the progress I've done. That's super cool.
Also, the deep breathing, we do that too. And I think some of my members might think, what is he doing there? But I find this to be very, very healing. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was such a fantastic presentation. So, and I'm sure that you have a lot of questions. Um, if you don't mind, you can ask questions now.
Yeah.
Before, it always takes a while here on StreamYard for the comments to come in. So
Okay.
until they come in, I have a few questions.
Okay.
Okay, so what is you said about your poop? You talk about openly about your poop. 2 times, is that okay per day? Is that a good 2 times? If you go 2 times to the toilet, is that a good?
Oh yeah, for bowel movements. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes,
Okay.
fantastic.
Yes.
I'm winning.
Good. Then alcohol. What do you think? How many glasses of alcohol is bad for your microbiome? Is there a cutoff? Or should we drink alcohol at all?
Yeah, that is a really good question. And I really feel like it's very individualized, right? When I am really working with somebody on healing, I always put them on a 90-day protocol. So you're off alcohol for that 90 days, 100%. And you really want to be invested in yourself, right? And invested in your healing. And then it comes down to like, sometimes alcohol itself can cause our cells to let off a histamine response, right? And that histamine feels horrible in our body. So again, when we want to come in and calm everything down, the root cause of all things we feel is inflammation. Okay, so alcohol and the standard American diet and processed foods is like, I'm sitting around a campfire and I want to keep my fire going, so I'm going to throw a little wood on and throw a little more wood on and that's what you're doing. You're adding wood. Yeah. So we want to eliminate and extinguish the fire. And so you have to be super dedicated. It's no. It's a no.
Excellent. Very good. Omega-3s, can it be in supplements or omega-3s?
Omega-3s.
Yeah. Can they be in supplements, or do you recommend foods?
I love to do food first before supplements. I really do. But I see such a deficiency. I like to run an omega-3 to omega-6 index panel, and really see the comparison. Okay. Most of us have way more omega-6 in our body, right? And it comes down to get rid of all the seed oils. It comes that first and foremost, we need to do those things, and we need to increase the plant-based rich omegas first, right?
Yeah.
And then if we still can't get there, then yeah, I would definitely do a fish oil.
Good. Yeah, no fish oil. I myself take what's it called? Algae oil.
Yeah, algae.
Just because I think it helps my knees when I run. Mm-hmm. I had 2 knee surgeries and I think it's maybe it's superstitious, but
no, I think it does. It helps with inflammation. So if you're feeling it in those parts of your body, that's inflammation that you're feeling.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's get to our audience here. Our first question is, okay. It's not a question. Is it okay to add raw honey and almond milk to the tea?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How much gas is normal? That's a good question.
What's your normal? No, if it's stinky smelly, Yeah, that's I want to have a conversation with somebody I don't, a lot of gas, regular gas is normal, but if you're really gassy, meaning like it's frequent throughout the day, and it's more about like when you're gassing, is it just, is it a gas that makes people run out of the room? Then yeah, there's something you're probably not eliminating quite enough, and there's some bowel left over that's really fermenting, and it needs to be removed.
Okay, that's where the fibers come in, right? I mean, I would assume the more fibers, good fibers you eat, the more okay.
It could be too. Can I add to that with the gas? It could be that it's not a proper breakdown. So Mike commented, if you've ever tried some enzymes, maybe papaya tablets could even be helpful. Bringing in some of that apple cider vinegar and using it, that has the mother in it, so it has the healthy probiotic in it.
Yeah.
Using, making salad dressings that you can utilize the vinegar. And if you're just starting with apple cider vinegar, it's best to do it in recipes. And then I have people start to add it to like just a room temperature lemon water. But I have you go very slow with it because you don't want to produce too much acid. I never know where anyone's at, but I rather, of course, use it because you can take hydrochloric acid in betaine HCl is what it is in a supplement form. I don't want to do that. I really want you to bring it in through food. So typically when I'm titrating someone, I'll start with a teaspoon, do a teaspoon for a couple of days, then go up to 2 teaspoons, do that for a couple of days, see how you're feeling. If you're feeling okay, then you keep gradually increasing, and eventually getting yourself to a tablespoon to maybe a tablespoon and a half. Maybe you can drink it throughout the day. You can drink it in a larger quantity in a water bottle. But that's a really great way to help break down food and then to get the absorption going too.
Excellent. I tell my members to drink lemon juice, but we take the entire lemon.
Yes.
Including the zest, the seeds, everything.
Nice.
Organic lemons in the morning.
Yes.
That's good?
Yes. That's awesome.
Good. Okay.
That's so good.
Okay. Linda is saying, I'm recovering from a bowel resection for colon cancer. After having my gut cleaned out, how do I replace my gut microbiome? Good question. Take a quality prebiotic daily, but what else can I do?
So you take a prebiotic but not a probiotic? It would be my question. I would start first with a very well diversified probiotic. A lot of different strains in there. You want to get different strains. I am a believer, and I know it's controversial. I'm a believer in rotating probiotics, not staying on the same one for a really long amount of time. And then once you start to build up the different strains, then you want to feed it. So then that's when you would come in if you want to use a prebiotic, which I like powdered prebiotics, depending on where you're at, but I really want to get it from food first. So it's going to be focusing on those prebiotic. Oh, okay. You're on a probiotic, but your phone is changing it. Those phones, they stink.
Oh, you see it?
They do that. Yeah, I just saw it pop up. So
great.
So good. So if the probiotic, I like to do about a 10 strain probiotic is what I recommend. 10 different strains. I use multiple different companies, but you can find some, I actually like shelf stable. And most recently I started to use spore biotics. So that's really popular in the nutrition industry right now too. Spore biotics. So a lot of times the probiotics, they actually don't make it to the digestive system, right? Because of all the acid. And so it starts to break down early on. So the spore biotic is actually makes it into that large intestine and then opens up. It's a spore, soil-based, opens up and then delivers. So I like those. I use Microbiome Labs. I also use Designs for Health. So I use multiple different companies. Okay. But get a good multivariate strain variety.
So some of them say 80 million, 20 million, 50 million. Well, what do you recommend?
Yeah, they say that because in their research, they weren't able to deliver a good amount to the intestines. So that's why I like to look for ones that have research like a spore biotic, where it actually makes it where it needs to make, and then it opens up and delivers. So I like the research behind the spore biotics. And then there's also there's a technology called BioTract. And that technology, usually there are little spheres, and it houses the bacteria so that it can make it through. It's pH dependent. So once it gets to the large intestine, that pH of the large intestine is what breaks it open.
Oh,
So I like those too.
wow, that's great.
Designs for Health makes one of those.
Who? Who did you say?
Designs for Health
Okay.
makes one of those. Yeah.
Mike is saying, where's it gone? Someone told me grape juice and mix it with apple cider vinegar.
Grape juice. I've heard grape seed extract can be beneficial. I don't have experience with it, but I have read that it can be beneficial. But grape juice, I would just be concerned about the sugar levels of the grape juice. I think adding apple cider to exactly what Frank has you guys doing, which is the lemon, would be amazing.
Thank you. I sometimes go 3 to 4 times a day. Is that normal?
Is it your normal? So a question that I would have is, and this gets really personal, but what does it look like? Like, is it well formed or not? And then I have, if it's not well formed, or if it's hard pellets, then we have to have a conversation about that, right? And then are you getting enough water? I mean, that's huge, right? Drinking enough water. Most people are really depleted in water, and our bowels need to have water so that we can release. You think about it, every cell in your body needs water for communication. Your cells make up your tissues make up your organs make up your systems, and all of our systems are talking to one another. So first things first, make sure you're getting half of your body weight in ounces of water, and if that's not enough for you, then get a little more. We need to make sure we're getting it, and don't drink it out of plastic. Drink it out of your glass jars, glass mason jars.
Yeah. Okay, Jean is saying, hello, I heard when I eat anything except salad, what can I do? I get tired from eating salad every day. All carbs hurt me. And what does it mean? Makes my feet burn. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, so carbs hurt. So you could be carb resistant. I would have more questions like, how is your blood sugar on your blood work? Is your A1C elevated? Is your fasting blood sugar elevated? Sounds like you're not breaking down and not absorbing. My other question would be, is your sugar's elevated? Yeah, so it's probably your pancreas not delivering enough digestive enzymes. You probably do need to supplement because your body is not working at the level it needs to work, so we need to push it. And so digestive enzymes, try the papaya. Sometimes it's not enough. There's 3 digestive enzymes that we need to come in and break down proteins, fats, and carbs. And we need those 3 enzymes to properly break down and absorb the nutrients. Plant-based, if you're not there, Jean, will be amazing. It has increasing that fiber helps stabilize blood sugar. Fiber is the key to so much. And so that would be the conversation with you. It would be, make sure you're hitting the fiber. Let's get in and support the microbiome, get in and also support with digestive enzymes. The other thing, let me add this, that I love is castor oil packs. I have to give a shout out to these things. I have people putting them over their liver and doing castor oil packs 2 to 3 times a week. They're so fantastic. You guys, you can buy everything that you need for it on Amazon, or like here in Arizona, we have a Sprouts on every corner, so I can go to Sprouts and get it. Whole Foods, no matter wherever. But I do recommend purchasing the actual cotton or wool, whatever you choose to do. Don't just take it out of your closet because it has dyes in it, and then you're putting that on your skin and you're absorbing that. So don't do that. So you put the castor oil on your cloth and then lay it on top of the liver, so right underneath the right side, right, of the ribs. Lay it on there, put a heating pack on that, put a towel over it, lock in the heat, and guess what you get to do? You get to rest. You get to rest. You're going to kick back, you're going to take some deep breaths. Sometimes I just put a meditation on and just rest. And the castor oil is the only oil that can penetrate the skin and actually open up some of the bile ducts and get things moving in your liver, which is going to help your gallbladder, which is going to help your digestive system. It's beautiful. It is so good. I'll recommend this for my clients 2 to 3 times a week to do this. And for 30 to 40 minutes, that can help a ton.
Nice.
With digestion.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Oh, sugar makes my feet burn, he said. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. What about taking some kombucha?
Yeah, kombucha can be really fantastic. Watch the sugars, because they like to add a lot of sugar to it. I used to brew kombucha in my kitchen. I used to have like all kinds of jars sitting out. It can be really good, fantastic actually, but you need to make sure that you're having a healthy balance of yeast, because if the yeast is overgrown, kombucha can actually feed. But really overall, kombucha is, because that's how you make it, right? You have a bacteria inside of a jar and it ferments, right? And again, we need that healthy relationship, so it cultures good bacteria, and so that's what you're bringing in. So I think kombucha can be great. Just nowadays, they do a lot of added sugar to it. So get original kombucha.
Good. Mike is saying, I was told that oils is bad for you.
I would so agree. Seed oils, I think, are demon. They're horrible. They are so horrible. And they reside, I just got off with a client actually right before I jumped on here. And she's like, okay, I got this plant-based salad dressing. And I was like, yeah, let's read those ingredients. And it was soybean oil, canola oil. It was all the seed oils. No, they are inflammatory oils. They are full of omega-6s. Don't do it. That is massive takeaway right there.
Yeah. That's why I don't cook without, I don't cook with oil at all. We don't use oil.
Use water sauteing, right, Frank?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I teach too. Good. Awesome.
Great.
Perfect.
Best advice if you are pre-diabetic?
Fiber is my advice to you. Lots and lots of plants and lots of fiber. My other advice is, I do love castor oil packs, but move it over to where the pancreas is at. I would highly recommend that you might want to even look at intermittent fasting and see how your body does with that. So giving your body time to rest and digest, taking those blood sugars in the morning and seeing on the days that I in an intermittent fast or the days that I don't do it, what is a comparison, and just I actually work a lot with, not so much anymore, but I used to do a lot with diabetes and pre-diabetes. Now I'm really focused on the gut health and autism, but prior to that, because I was in a conventional medical office, and I have found that it takes time, that there's so much impact that you can make in just 12 weeks. I remember I used to tell the doctors when they would want to get metformin or something like that to their patient, I'd say, just give me 12 weeks. Just give me 12 weeks and rerun blood work. And it would blow their mind. They had no idea the power of food on that. So my advice really is eat the plants, eat them cooked, get those cruciferous in there, do lots with cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and broccoli, eat cooked, eat raw, eat a lot of soups. So you want to get nutrients just flooding every cell of your body. And soups and smoothies are such a great way. They pack so much in a small amount, in a quantity.
Nice. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I would also recommend food pairing as well for pre-diabetic, and the fiber as well will help your blood sugar not raise as much when you have an apple. So you pair it together.
Good. I heard wheatgrass is great for you.
Great for your gut? Heck yeah. I bet it is. It's missing fiber though, right? Because you're juicing it. So great antioxidants though. Super good antioxidants. Ask him if you can have the pulp from it.
Yeah, but we cannot digest the wheatgrass.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Good point. Thank you.
Okay, let's see if I have one more question. I think you already mentioned it, the processed foods and your microbiome. So that's basically, I don't want to say poison, but it's
I was gonna say it's dead food. It's
dead food.
I don't even like to call it food, right? It's dead calories. They're just calories.
I tell my members always, when you eat processed foods, your body is actually, and your organs are doing double duty, because usually your body is taking nutrients from the food. Now your body has to give in order to digest those processed foods, because they are it's just there's nothing in there, so the body has to give in order to digest. So it's, you're using more energy to digest those processed foods, and you lose nutrients instead of gaining nutrients through whole foods.
Absolutely. And think about the effects that it has on the liver, right? That's a lot of work for the liver to do. Yeah, and your liver is amazing and it's the filter, but over time it's just going to stop. And I think non-alcoholic fatty liver is on the rise. It's crazy. We're even seeing it in kids now.
This is actually the next question what I wanted to ask. I have a member, and I don't see her here. She has fatty liver, and she has the first stage of NASH. So she's on her way to get cirrhosis.
Wow.
What I told her that, her doctor told her that there's no medication for that. So I told her that she needs to go on a strict whole food plant-based diet.
100%.
And she needs to let go of sugars, processed foods, and all these things. But she likes those. She still eats those.
Oh.
And
she's not going to heal then.
Yeah.
No. And so, again, it's coming in, and it's coming in with all those cruciferous for phase 2 liver detoxification. It's coming in, and giving support, dandelion roots, chamomile. The foods are so powerful, coming in with cilantro, celery, all of those foods to help to move and clean up the liver. I have a woman that started with me probably 6 months ago, fatty liver, pre-diabetes, on medication for heartburn, liver enzymes completely down, but she was strict, right? That's the thing though, Frank, is that you're giving her the right advice, but they have to want it. And so this woman said, I can't live this way anymore. And she's off of her proton pump inhibitor. So that's what is used for heartburn, and for H. pylori a lot of times. So she's off of that. She's off of one of her diabetes medications. And you see this all the time in your group. I mean, this is the power of food, right? I put her on plant-based whole foods. That's what she started cooking, and all of it came down from her. She eliminated the sugar. She even eliminated wheat from her diet as well, because we were pulling the inflammation completely down for her. So wheat and dairy came out. Whole foods plant-based. Castor oil packs for the liver. Sorry, go ahead.
Great. No. I'm sorry. Didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That was it. Castor oil packs.
Oh, perfect. This is really great. There was one thing. No. Okay. This was. Thank you so much for mentioning this.
You're welcome.
I hope she will learn from this. She will. What we usually do in our group is we connect. I always tell everyone, you need to have a goal in mind, and you
Yeah,
have to have your why ready. If you don't have that,
absolutely.
you will fall off the wagon. And
100%.
there has to be the thought first. Then you have to feel that you want that, and then the action is gonna start. So
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes a whole food plant-based lifestyle sounds all good, but if you don't have the
Mhm.
necessary steps in place,
Mm-hmm.
we all gonna fall off the wagon because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't even know why we do that. And
Yeah,
once we know that, I find it's so much easier to do that.
for sure. Well, that's what's so beautiful about the community that you've built, Frank, is that you can be amongst like-minded individuals.
Right, right.
You can, when you're having a hard moment, you have a space that you can come to and share that and feel supported and encouraged, and people can help you along the journey. But you're right, it's identifying what your why is.
Yeah. Well, you
Um,
wonder. Yeah.
what's that?
You wonder. I have a lot of clients who just come in and say, "Oh, I want to lose weight," but they don't have the underlying
Yeah.
cause why they want to lose weight.
Mm,
And so this is the first step what we're trying to tackle before we do anything else. Why do
sure.
you want to lose weight?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get to the vulnerable part of,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm doing this.
Yes.
Then it all opens up, and then
Yes.
it's
And I recommend, writing that down, because there's power in the written word. There's power when you write down your goals, and then you want to see it too. So if it's playing with your grandkids or whatever it is, like, pop it up there and
you're right.
make your vision, create what your wellness is. Create your wellness vision.
Good advice.
Yeah. Super good. I like that.
All vegetables and mixed greens every day, is that enough fiber?
Questionable. Depends on how much quantity you're having in a day. A really great boost for fiber. I actually have a fiber document that I made. I could send it over to you, Frank, and you can pop it in. And I just went
Yeah.
through all of the, fruits and vegetables and nuts. But your chia seeds, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, 10 grams of fiber. So that's a big one, right? Have yourself some chia seed pudding. I love chia seed pudding. And then, focus on, and even the hemp seeds, right? So raw nuts and seeds are going to help you get the fiber that you need. Most likely not going to achieve it just from your vegetables.
Okay. Well, actually, I tell my clients not to have any nuts, soy, gluten
Good.
in the first few weeks
Okay.
for weight loss.
For fat.
Only
Yeah.
for fat,
Okay.
because once they have achieved the weight loss, then load up on nuts and whatever
Okay.
you want. But in the beginning, I think it makes it easier to lose weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Once in a while, every other week, I have a few nuts in here, but I'm not telling them not to have it, but I think, but you have a point. They're healthy, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, flaxseed meal inside of
Oh,
your
that's
smoothie, things like that. That's all going to be great fiber.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely, and it's
Mm-hmm.
good for preventing breast cancer.
Yeah, totally.
Um, okay, how do you know you have fatty liver?
So that would be a blood test that your doctor could run for you. They would test your liver enzymes to see if your enzymes are elevated. Mm-hmm. I would highly suggest, that's my first and foremost thing that I can message everybody, is make sure you're doing yearly check-ins with your doctor. Most of the time, I think I said this last time I did one of these with you too. Most of the time, doctors don't normally run a vitamin D, and they don't normally run B12 and iron. Those are essential. You need to make sure that your B12 levels are where they need to be. I also recommend that people run a C-reactive protein test, which tells you if there's inflammation going on in the body. I also recommend that homocysteine be run, because if that is elevated, then it is going to tell me that you're not processing and detoxifying and processing folic acid properly. There's things that we can do through food, though, to help that. Elevated homocysteine levels can put you at risk for coronary heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. So homocysteine levels need to be run. They're not normally run. You have to advocate for yourself. Everybody, you have to advocate for yourself. So you go in with the intent and the conversation with your physician that I want a whole nutrient test run. What's my magnesium? What's my D? What's my B12? What's my iron? Get a deep dive on your thyroid too. Like your insurance, if you guys have insurance, your insurance will pay for it. But the doctors don't always normally run it. So advocate for yourself.
Good advice. Still don't understand the castor oil part.
So Elizabeth, here's my recommendation. Go to YouTube and type in castor oil pack for the liver or for whatever. I use it for some clients for reducing fibroids even too. So you type in castor oil and really great people are going to show you exactly how to use it. It's so easy. It's really easy to use and very inexpensive. A bottle of castor oil will last you like 6 to 8 months. And the pack, the actual like cloth that you put it on, probably 50 to 60 uses.
Can you use it over and over?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I use it over and over, and I just store it inside. I had it here, right down here, because I was showing it to a client. But I just store it inside of a glass container underneath of my sink. And then I just pull it out a couple times a week.
Even you do it when you doesn't need it.
Yeah, I do what I tell my clients to do.
Nice.
I eat all the fiber too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Good. Do we have any other questions? My dogs do want to run these tests.
I'm guessing she means do not want to run these tests.
Oh, okay.
So I have to find another doc each time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry that's happening for you, Felicia.
Yeah. Okay.
They need to run it.
Let's see. I think do she use honey? Do you use honey?
Me?
Yeah.
Raw local honey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's it. I don't have any.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions. Can you talk one more time about the spore biotics?
Yeah. So the spore biotics, they're actually soil-based probiotics. Soil-based.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple different companies. I would say probably newer to them, about seven years old on the market.
Okay.
So, it takes time for things to make it into the industry.
Right.
But they are being heavily used right now and with really great results. I have one client actually that I started on that along with diet and all her skin issues are really healing up nicely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
Food pairing.
About food pairing.
Yeah, I don't know if you really teach that at all, Frank, but I've taught that with some of my clients that we just want to make sure, like, I know it's easy to grab an apple and go, but when you're in that state, in that pre-diabetes state, and your sugars are not regulated, it actually is very important that you take an apple and you pair it with something else. So maybe I use, a tablespoon of almond butter, or maybe I use, a handful of almonds or pistachios or something like that. Like I want to use something that actually has a fat and a protein with it to help balance what the carbohydrate is going to do, because it's fructose, right? So it's going to raise our blood glucose levels. Now insulin's going to come out and help the cells to absorb it. Well, that blood glucose does not rise as high when I compare it with a fat or a protein.
Okay. Great advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I do that with all of anybody who has elevated blood sugar, any pre-diabetic or diabetic. Yeah.
Excellent. Good advice. So, okay. I think that was awesome information. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Yeah, this was fun.
It was great to have you here today. And I'm sure, how can people get in touch with you if they have any questions?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. I'm still trying to learn it. I'm not super great at it. But I did just also start a Facebook group. It's small but mighty. And I try to post in it every day about gut health. So today's post was aloe vera and what aloe vera can do in healing gastritis, inflammation. I talk in there about yeast. I try to go live every week and create some type of recipe. So again, my specialty: gut healing, gut health, and autism and autism and ADHD. So sometimes I do post in there on things that can help our kids too. But really, what can help our kids can help ourselves. We all the same. Like I did a post the other day about petroleum being in our food. And it was in some of the top foods, unfortunately, that we do feed our kids, like fruit snacks. And so I like to give alternatives. It's hard for a kid to be at a party and not be able to have those things. But what can we take in place of it? So we're still staying in a healing environment. We're still creating a healing environment, but we can still participate and be successful out in the world too. That's what it's about, right?
Yes.
And it's really about being open to your group of people. Like, I'm on a healing journey. Like, you do a challenge with Frank and it's, I'm on a 7-day challenge. Like, share with people, let them know what you're doing so that they can support you. And if they don't support you, then question your relationships, right? But you want to be surrounded by people who are going to support you and love you while you're healing, because that social connection is healing.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would love for you guys to jump over to my group. It's called Holistic Wellness Movement. And you can find it just by typing in Stephanie Kreun. It'd be fun to have you.
Okay, let me put in your name here. So, want me to add anything else? How people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, through my website.
Yeah, okay. It's actually
StephanieKreun.com.
It's the first thing that comes up when you put in your name.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, your website comes up.
Oh, good. Okay, awesome. That's a work in progress too.
Actually, the About page comes up.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so feel free to send messages through that or on Messenger or connect on Facebook. Would love to chat and support anyone or answer questions that you might have. On my website, I actually have an immune boosting book. So if you subscribe, you could download a free immune boosting book. Nice. We all need help in our immune system, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the opportunity.
Of course, it was a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure our members have had a blast, as they always have.
Yeah.
And
well, you guys stay eating those plants. Stay healthy.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Bless to you. You too. Bye-bye.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate that you came out today and watched this episode of our guest speaker with Stephanie Kreun. You can see the recording on YouTube or on Facebook if you want to see it again. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you throughout the week. Have a good night.